If you're able to admit your flaws and your downfalls, I want you to be able to admit and own the things that you love. That's very, very, very important.
If we're going to feel terrible about all the bad mistakes we make, why can't we feel good when we do good things? That's never clicked for me.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was number 1205, 3 things you need to be doing in 2023. We're talking about habits. Today, for episode number 1206, what would make you proud of you? I did a podcast the other day, Alan, with this wonderful human being. And at the end of the podcast, we were talking about how she could become more successful. A lot of podcasters asked me questions. Love it. Huge fan of that. And I sent her an email after and said, hey, I'd love to hop on a free call. And she showed up and she was the happiest, bubbliest, most grateful human. And we had a really, really, really good call. And she was just, you know, the people that are just super open and they want feedback and they want to win and they're taking notes and
the best.
It was the best. It was awesome. I felt very valued as a human being, which has not always been the case. And we got to the end of it and I said, hey, I don't feel like I had enough time because I actually have a call in like 2 minutes. Let me book another one with you, free one. And she's like, you want to do another free call? And I said, yeah, I need to. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I just need to do it. And nice. I said, I'm not expecting money. Like, let's just do another one so we can go deeper. There's a lot to work through here and you have a lot of opportunity and I don't want you to leave here and only get a little bit of value. And one of the reasons I like doing that is because I feel very, very proud of myself after I do it. And I'm grateful that we're at the point where I can actually do that now. And it's not, again, we're not balling. I have the little Mercedes. I don't have the real one yet. I have the baby Mercedes. We don't have, we're not balling like that, but we're financially secure and I don't have to treat every call like it has to lead to money. Like, oh, if this person doesn't say they want to work with me, I can't do this call. That's what makes me proud. I am so proud of the fact that when somebody reaches out, and I don't always get to do it because sometimes I'm overwhelmed and sometimes I'm dealing with my own stuff. But when somebody reaches out, I send them an audio message or I send them a video message where we're at the stage where not only are we adding value here, but we're adding value behind the scenes, which is actually more valuable because not everybody can reach us. That's what makes me proud. And I also had this moment the other night. I told you this. I was getting ready for bed. I was laying in bed and I was thinking to myself, am I ever going to get to the point where I don't want to do this anymore? Am I 55 years old? Alan and I are going to be very successful and whatever, multi-millionaires, and we're going to have all these listens and blah, blah, blah. Am I just going to go to sleep one night and say, you know what? I don't really want to do this tomorrow. I don't want to get up at 4:30. I got to meet with Alan. We're going to podcast for 8 hours. Like, I don't really want to do that. And I had this moment, and this was a relief, believe it or not. I had this moment where I was like, I cannot imagine, and I told you this earlier, I cannot imagine Alan doing the podcast by himself and then me seeing a teaser clip and me not being there. I'm too proud of what we do. I couldn't. There's no way. Today's been a really long day. 4:30 a.m. It's 6:20 p.m. We've been working all day. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. When people say, oh, you shouldn't work too much, here's how to get less done in more time. Again, productivity, yes. But people tell me all the time, you shouldn't work so much. You got to leave time for whatever it is. You're going to regret it one day. This is what makes me proud. I'm proud of this. I'm proud that we do 7 episodes a week. I'm proud that we are here every day. I'm proud that we practice what we preach. And if we're not practicing it, we don't talk about it. There's a reason we've been slacking on fitness episodes for the previous couple months because you and I were kind of not succeeding at the level we wanted to. That's what makes me proud. Now, I understand that I think you and I have a very unique perspective on what makes us proud because we get to do it every day. But I thought it would be a cool episode to jam on, especially at the beginning of the new year, to figure out, look, if you were going to do a couple things, if you were going to set up the next year, if you were going to optimize the next year for what would make you the most fulfilled and the most proud, what would that year look like? Now, again, there are going to be things you don't like doing, and that's a whole nother episode. But if you were thinking from that frame, what makes you proud? What are you most proud of when it comes to yourself? And I think one of the interesting things, Alan, is a lot of people don't give themselves permission, or their communities don't give them permission, or the people they surround themselves don't give them permission. If you're able to admit your flaws and your downfalls, I want you to be able to admit and own the things that you love. That's very, very, very important. I think you and I have been leaning into that more and more, and that's been serving us at a very deep level. What makes you proud? What makes you the most proud? What are you proud of? Where do you get your pride? Pride is not a negative thing. It is a very positive thing if it's constructive.
Definitely. And I've said this so many times, but hopefully it will land even more powerfully after Kevin's opening there, which was very, very strong, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course. And, it's interesting because you hear Kevin go off on something like that, and he speaks so well and so eloquently. And quite frankly, sometimes I listen to other podcasts and I kind of can't because I'm so used to listening to Kevin and myself as well. But we put in so many reps that Kevin in particular, I mean, you went on 750 shows in 2022. The hard work of that is paying off in your ability to communicate effectively. It's very clear. And
thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I hope you're proud of that.
I am very, very proud of that.
Hell yeah. And that's good. And that's the point. That's the point of this episode, is that's good. It's so socially unacceptable to be proud of that. And this is the quote that I used to say all the time. I don't know if it ever landed. I hope it does this time. If we're going to feel terrible about all the bad mistakes we make, why can't we feel good when we do good things? That's never clicked for me. It's like, I feel bad when I drink and I'm mean. Like, I remember when I was younger, in my early 20s, I was mean when I drank. Right? Sometimes, not always. Definitely not always. I was usually very happy, actually. But sometimes I was mean, and then I felt terrible about it. And then, am I not allowed to be proud of being sober for 3 years? Am I not allowed to be proud of not having touched drugs for however many years? 7 years? 6 years? Something like that? Am I not allowed to be proud of all these things? I think that's... If you think about the world, right? We're taught to be like guilty and shameful whenever we do something wrong, particularly as kids, but yet you're like never allowed to like feel good about the good things you do. We wonder why it's so difficult to stay on positive habits. It's not as rewarded. It's not as praised. It's not as, and I'll tell this story quickly. We were in book club, and one of the members of book club has a young baby boy. And so I always have to watch my mouth, which is good, because I do not want this baby boy's first word to be a swear, because I guarantee you it would be because of book club, because every now and then I'll say shit or whatever. And so I'm trying to get better, keeping it PG in book club these days. But anyways, she asked a really cool question. She's like, in book club, everyone's talking about these positive changes they're making and these books they're reading, and everyone's so affirming and supportive of each other's greatness. Everyone's so supportive of talking about the things they're doing wrong. Yes, mirror club, that's what we call it, #mirror club, which is look in the mirror. Are you Jeffin? Yes, of course. That's important. But we also are like, when you're doing well, so for example, one of the members of book club and the NLU team, 140 days in a row of exercise. Like in book club, we pour into that. We're proud of that. It's not like, oh, stop being cocky. Like, no, that's awesome. And so this person asked me a question. She said, why do you think that everyone supports my son? He's only 2 years old or 1 year old or whatever. Like, everyone's always encouraging. Everyone's so encouraging of my son. When do you think that stops? When does that go away? And I was actually impressed at the moment. I think I've told this story before. I came up with the answer really quick. And it was like it was like intuitive. And I said, honestly, when he becomes better than them, that's when it's not cool. When someone becomes better than you at something, now they can't brag about it. Now it's uncomfortable. And even bragging, what is that? Bragging in some ways is giving yourself credit for something. Like, okay, let's say I were to actually do this. Ready? I am genuinely very proud of the fact that I have exercised for 305 days in a row. I've never done that before. I remember days when I literally had to leave the gym because I cried in the bathroom because of how much I let my body go. And everyone knows that feeling of feeling terrible about yourself. I felt so bad about myself, I literally had to leave. That was so shameful. And I remember seeing pictures of Kevin at country concerts. He was jacked. I remember seeing pictures of different people I went to high school with that were in such great shape, and I remember feeling so ashamed. And when I tell that story, everyone can relate because everyone knows what that feels like. It's terrible. But here I am, 305 days in a row, not missing a single day. And that has been brutal, very challenging. And I'm not allowed to talk about it. I'm not allowed to be proud of it. I'm not allowed to say how awesome that is. When my old best was 3.5 months, it makes people uncomfortable. And here's why. Very few human beings will ever do 305 days of exercise in a row. And it's a really big mirror. That's what it is. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's uncomfortable for you to sit there and go, well, am I really happy for him for that? Could I do that? Oh, crap, I couldn't do that? Damn, have I ever done that? Will I ever do that? See, all these mirrors come up. And so what I want to share with everyone in the NLU community right now, all the listeners, what if you just did it inside of yourself? I'm not saying to go brag to people. That's not going to help, and people are going to hate you, trust me. It never works. But what I will tell you is it would be impossible for me, seriously, real talk, it would be impossible for me to do 305 days in a row if I wasn't actually proud of it. Impossible. I am proud of that. I know how hard that is. I know how rare that is, and I have worked so hard on that. And if I can't feel good about that, there's no way I could do it. Self-esteem comes from assigning credit where credit is due. And so, yes, I give credit where credit's due to Kevin. I lift people up all the time, but I have to make sure behind the scenes I'm doing the same for myself, because otherwise, what's the point in doing all this if you can't feel good about yourself? And so that's what I want to give to everybody is I've been seeing a lot of these posts lately, tail end of 2022, coming into 2023. I've been seeing so many posts and I love it. Here's what I accomplished in 2022. 48 books and, 5 days a week of exercise, whatever it is, right? These posts. And I always try to love those. And the reason why is because I want to encourage it. Why are we only doing that at the end of the year? And more importantly, why aren't we deciding what we want that list to be right now for the end of the year?
Next Level University and Kevin is exactly where you need to be if you're a podcaster. When I first started out just a few months ago, I had no clue on the direction I was going. I was getting hustled by another company that was giving me not even close to the value that Kevin and Next Level U was giving me. They literally changed the trajectory of my podcast, have helped me out tremendously. They understand the clients. I promise you, you will not go wrong with dealing with Kevin and Next Level U. I'll see you there.
So everyone out there watching or listening to this, think about what you want that post to look like. Think about what you want that post to look like. How many books do you want to read this year? How many gym sessions do you want to do? What do you want to weigh? How many pounds do you want to lose or gain depending on muscle or whatever? Okay? Think about that post that you want to post at the end of 2023. Think about how proud you're going to be when you actually achieve it. And this is something that might be unique to me, but I've always thought this. Achieving goals is the best feeling in the world. I'll give you a tiny little example. I'm in the gym last night. And for some reason, so I did a float tank yesterday, and I was super dehydrated. So there's a lot of Epsom salts, and you just get really dehydrated. You're technically not supposed to work out right after this, but Emilia and I don't care. We're just going to do it. So we did it, and I ended up getting my legs. This has never happened to me before. I was doing leg press, and my legs wouldn't work. They stopped kind of working, and I was like, "Oh, I'm really dehydrated. I gotta drink some water." So I drank some water, and I wasn't gonna do legs anymore in terms of weight training because I didn't want to mess up, injure myself. So instead, what I did, I wasn't gonna leave the gym. I still got to exercise. So what I ended up doing is jumping rope. I wanted to get my legs moving, get the blood flowing.
That's worse than doing legs.
Yeah. Jump rope. I actually like jump rope a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I do. I'm a big fan. And my goal was to break a sweat. After I couldn't do that, I was like, okay, just break a sweat, wait for the timer to go off, and then get out of here. So I go in the back room and I'm doing jump rope, and I have these goals. So the first goal was 50 without messing up on the jump rope, 50 reps without messing up. And then I went to 100, and then I went to 150. And then I made the mistake of trying to do 200 when the timer was almost going to go off. And when the timer goes off with Emilia and I, we come find each other because we set our timers together, and then we leave the gym. 45 minutes is up. Let's go. Let's get out of here, right? Move on with our lives and our night. I hit 183 and I jeffed. Jump rope messed it up, right? 17 left. I still did the additional 17. And then she comes in and gets me in the back room, and it's time to go. We're walking out. I couldn't leave. I was like, sweetheart, I need 3 minutes. I can't leave. Like, I'll be right back. So she goes to the bathroom, does her thing. She's sitting in the front, literally waiting for me. This is how ridiculous I am. I'm in the back room by myself, door closed, lights off. I couldn't leave the gym until I hit the goal. I wouldn't leave. I would have been there all night until I hit it. Kev, you should have seen the last 10 jump ropes that I did. You should have seen how high I was jumping to make sure I didn't mess up. Because when you get to 190 and you only have 10 left, if I screwed up at 192 and had to redo the whole 200. Anyways, my whole point of that story is this. You know how good I felt leaving the gym?
Yeah.
200 jump rope. That's not even impressive. What's the world record? Like 50,000 or something?
That's pretty impressive. That's not an easy feat.
200?
Yeah, no, 200 is not easy.
Oh.
I don't know. I've never counted, but 1, 2, 3. I mean,
yeah,
it's
it was
good
definitely, it was challenging to get there without screwing up at all.
Yeah.
I would say that. Yeah. And I broke a sweat, which was the real goal. But my point is it feels good to achieve goals. So that's one of the last takeaways here. I know I talked a lot on this one. The last takeaway is achieving goals feels awesome. It feels so good. It's one of my favorite things in the entire world. Even when no one knows, I wasn't planning on telling that story. Even Emilia, I don't even know if she knows why I went back. I think I talked about it. I think I probably talked about it. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel good about achieving the goal that I set. I want to keep the promise to myself. I'm telling you, that drives me. That drives me. And if you let that drive you in 2023, you're going to be proud. You're going to be proud. It felt shameful to walk out of the gym without hitting my 200 goal. Genuinely, I felt like, am I seriously going to walk out of here and cop out right now? I'm like, babe, I need 3 minutes. I got to do this. I can't do it. I can't leave yet. And again, I walked out a winner inside of me instead of feeling ashamed. And again, you got to be careful with that line, but yeah, hopefully that was valuable.
It was a very good story. It says a lot about you and your obsession with achieving what you say you're going to achieve.
I want to keep the promises I make to myself.
I said this on one of the recent episodes, and honestly, it's even this kind of stuff. I'm still nervous to share stuff like this, not because of any way I feel, but I'm afraid how it'll make other people feel. So I'll preface it with that. But I'm going to a podcast event in January. I did a call with one of the organizers of it, and they said, yeah, we have a spot on a panel. Do you want to do this panel? And I was like, yeah, let me talk to the head of it. Let me make sure it's a win-win. Let me make sure it's a fit for everybody. I'd love to do it. And I had this moment where I went and talked to Taryn later that night. And I said, babe, I belong on that stage. I know I do. I've worked so hard over the last 6 years. So hard, harder than anybody else I know other than Alan. And I belong on that stage. I know nobody's earned it like I have. I know they haven't. They couldn't have. They would have died. They couldn't have done what I've done. They couldn't have, possibly. Now, again, has somebody, I'm sure they have, but it's rare. It's rare. The level of work we've put in and what we've done, I'm proud of that. That's ultimately the point is I am proud to go to an event and probably for the first time ever feel like I belong on stage, not the audience. And I'm very proud of that. And if you are in a similar place, you should be proud of that too. If you did 30 workouts in a row on your Peloton, I don't know why I'm talking about Peloton this week, not sponsored, but I know a lot of people, maybe you got one for Christmas or maybe you bought one for Christmas. I don't know. But if you did 30 days in a row, cool, celebrate that. The people who don't like you celebrating it probably are letting themselves down.
Peloton
probably
giving us kickbacks under the
Right.
table.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm actually on one right now as we're recording this episode.
Yeah,
Just
as we're
put it on the way.
recording, he's on a Peloton.
You
It's
you
funny.
deserve to celebrate great things. And you know why? You know one of the important reasons why you have to celebrate, because not a lot of people are going to celebrate for you.
Mhm.
That's one of the reasons. It's very going back to the episode. I don't remember what episode it was, but it was the 4 types of relationships you need to know. If somebody can't celebrate themselves, it's going to be very hard for them to authentically celebrate you. And that's just important to know. That's important to know. Taryn showed me a text message from her aunt, and her aunt listened to 3 episodes of the podcast because she's been asking for a while, like, hey, where's your podcast? And I always tell her, but I think I forget. For me, finding podcasts is super easy because I'm a podcaster, and other people who haven't listened to podcasts, it can be a challenge.
Huge marketing jeffing
Yeah, for sure.
right there. Yeah.
For sure. And she messaged Taryn and said, hey, show Kevin this. I want him to know, like, this podcast is awesome. And like, he's eloquent and they're super smart. Like, this is awesome. And that feels really good, right? But there's not a lot of people, even in the position we're in, where we have a lot of family. Like, we have a lot of amazing community members. We get a lot of love. But I would say statistically, it's probably more than most. It's more than most. And this is the other thing. If I didn't believe the love that I was given, I wouldn't want to receive it. It'd be weird. But I do think this is a valuable show. I do believe this will be the most valuable show you can listen to. That's the way we do it, right? Alan said, well, how do you want this episode? I said, I want it to be emotional. I want it to move people. I want people to feel. I don't want this just to be like, I'm listening while I do the dishes. I want something to come from this. Every episode we do, that's the goal. So take pride in what you do. You got to take pride in what you do, because if you take pride in what you do, you're most likely going to do it better than other people, no matter what it is. Even if it's, taking out the trash, like, take pride in that. Whatever it is, whatever you can take pride in it, because you're probably going to do it better. And honestly, when people do give you the pat on the back, it'll feel real, and you'll actually be able to receive it. If you're not proud of what you're doing, it's going to be very hard for you to receive that. To Alan's point originally. Last thing,
And
Alan.
your self-worth as well will increase over time,
Yes.
which will be reinvested into more greatness. So I think that the very last thing I'll say, I mean this, I think that it's very difficult to authentically feel proud of things that are not difficult. The thing that I'm most proud of while you were opening this episode, Kev, the thing that I'm most proud of in my entire life, and that's a lot of work and a lot of sweat equity and time and effort in particular, I'm most proud of the fact that I've never fought with Emilia. I've never raised my voice. I've never stormed out. I've never yelled, nothing. That is what I am most proud of, genuinely. And I do a lot of other things that I'm proud of and I'm grateful, but that is by far the biggest. I know what it has required of me to become the type of man who can do that. I see Emilia every single day. Never once have I let my temper get the best of me. And that, to me, is it's the most difficult thing in the world, but it's the best thing in the world. And so for the listeners, the lesson is you're never going to feel authentically proud of doing easy stuff all the time. Easy stuff doesn't make you proud. It's difficult things that I think make you proud. And of course, difficult is relative to wherever you are. Kevin in the gym squatting, 250 is easy for him. That would make me very proud. That's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Vice versa with other arenas. So this keeping the promises to self and doing difficult things, it is how you build actual self-esteem. It's authentic, earned self-esteem. And people say pride is a bad thing. I don't think it is if you do it right.
One of the hardest things I've ever done, I would say one of the top 20 hardest things I've ever done is hosting a live event. You and I have hosted or co-hosted. Again, we co-hosted an event, but we really hosted it. We did most of the work. Honestly, I'm sick of pretending we didn't. Like, that's not fair to us. But whatever, that is what it is. Yeah. We're doing an event in April. So April 1st, 2023 in Worcester, Mass. Alan and I will be exhausted after. We will be unreasonably tired. We will be falling asleep at our little lunch that we do after with the team, but I know we'll be super proud of what we're doing. We would love for you to be there. If you're local, please come. If you got to take a trip, I promise it'll be worth it. You'll meet other community members. You'll meet Alan and I. We can hang out at the venue. So yeah, it is April 1st, 2023. What time? Doors open at 8 a.m.?
I think doors open at 7:30.
We start at 8?
I believe so.
8 to 12:30.
Yep.
So it's basically going to be Alan and I on stage. It's going to be like a giant group coaching session where we are going to cater this, where it's not just going to be two people lecturing. It's going to be a great opportunity for you to be involved. Like, stand up and tell us something, and we'll go back and forth. All right, cool. Let's do a meditation. Let's get active. So we're going to make this the best one yet. This is our second one that we've done in Worcester, and we're just awesome. It's going to be awesome. We're grateful. We're grateful for each of you, and we get to meet you, and that's the best part. So link is in the show notes. Please check it out.
We're only allowing 50 people to purchase tickets. We want this to be a close-knit community of people, and we want it to be very, very special. And we'll have a private WhatsApp group for that group as well. So again, book your ticket. One more thing I want to share about that. This podcast is like listening to your favorite song on Spotify, or a song you like, maybe not your favorite. That will be like the concert. That will be like going to the concert, right? It's an experience. And trust me, we're pouring our heart and soul into this thing. So we hope you join us on that. Also, every month, all the months, forever, month to month. I want to see how many times I can say month. No, we have a monthly meetup. This is our 13th monthly meetup, which is the very first one of 2023. We will be doing one of these every month, in case I didn't mention that. Setting clear goals for 2023 that actually build belief and build self-esteem. January 5th, 2023 starts at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, if you listen to this show, it's like listening on Spotify to your favorite song. These monthly meetups are like watching the concert virtually. Coming to Next Level Live is like being in person at the actual concert. So we hope that you dive deeper than just listening to the show. We love that you listen to the show, but we hope that you come and meet community members both virtually and in person. Both of those links to register will be in the show notes.
Next Level Nation, tomorrow. I was just doing this in the background. I was changing episodes. Tomorrow, for episode number 1207, the number one lesson we learned in 2022. It wouldn't be a year wrap-up if we didn't talk about that. As always, we love you, appreciate you, grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans, we have family. We'll talk to you all tomorrow.
And we'll see you at the next level.